Hey, welcome to Temple Talk Thursdays, every Thursday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. We're here at Restoration from Within, where I am the restoration coach. My name is Kat Pons. Thank you for joining us today. If this is your first time, please let us know so I can meet you. And if you're catching the replay, please put #replay so I could properly greet you and thank you for catching the replay as well. So I'm Kat Pons. I'm the restoration coach, and I work with women who want to go back to an overall healthy place for themselves personally, for their families, and most importantly for God. So we've been having a series, and in this series we've been talking about emotional intelligence. And the topic of conversation for our discussions have been overcoming power over emotions. That's what God gave me, power over emotions. So when we first started, we talked about what was emotional intelligence, and then power over our emotions through self-awareness, then power over our emotions through self-management. And then the Holy Spirit, he likes to take over here. He has free reign here at Restoration from Within. So he decided to put that on pause and go a little bit deeper for us to delve into power over our emotions and our minds when it comes through traumatic experiences. And today I have my lovely sisters here with me. I have Donloyn and Le'Erica Richards. She is here with me today. Both of them are here with me today, and they're going to talk about how they overcame and have the power over the traumatic experiences that they have experienced in their life. Today we're going to talk about, it's okay, baby. It's all right. Go ahead, sis. So today we're going to talk about, they're going to share their experiences. Then they're going to talk about what was it that made a difference on them overcoming or going through their healing process. What was the major influence of their healing process, and how they use their voice now so that others can heal as well. Yes. So my first question is to you, Donloyn, and I'll ask Le'Erica when she comes back. How would you define trauma? What's your definition of trauma?
I think first of all, hello everybody, and Kat, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. This is a truly important topic. I think that I define trauma as being anything that has happened in your life that interrupts your development.
Okay.
An interruption in your proper development. Let me say it that way, because you still develop. It's an interruption in your proper development, and anything that cracks your foundation. That would be my definition.
Okay. So anything that interrupts your development and cracks your foundation. Okay. All right. How about you, sis? What's your definition?
Miss Le'Erica, thanks for having me. I would say that I totally agree, and I would even say that it is anything that alters your innate self-love that God gives all of us.
That's good.
We are created with that. So I think anything that interrupts that is trauma.
Absolutely. It's a commercial break.
Yes,
The puppy was traumatized.
Yes,
clearly.
Yes. All right, so Noah's making his appearance today. Again, we had a commercial break. Noah decided he wanted to chase the dog outside. But definitely, I believe that, because that disruption is a connection to how you emotionally see yourself, and how you will love yourself, because you have, I would add to what you guys are saying, you tend to develop an irrational belief of who you are, of whose you are, and how to love yourself, and also that in turn affects your relationships with others. And we've said here before at Temple Talk Thursdays that we're relational beings, whether it is with God or with each other. This is a critical component for us to accomplish our job.
And with ourselves. Because we have a great relationship with ourselves. But I think that, and when you suffer a trauma or something that inhibits how you are supposed to develop naturally, it's like a cause and effect. So something happens, and because of that thing that has occurred, you then tailor and alter your direction and who you're going to become, because our physical bodies, right? Our flesh has an immune system.
Yes.
But so does our soul, which is our mind and our emotions.
Yes.
It has an immune system. So it activates and triggers that immune system.
Yes.
So to prevent and protect you from that thing. And so when that immune system of the soul gets activated, especially early on, it's because of trauma, and you completely change who you become. Who you become is complete. Who you become changes from who you were designed to become.
Yes. I strongly believe that. And I believe that because as you were speaking, I literally can see those moments in my life. You know what I'm saying? That changed me, changed my path.
Right.
You know, and so I can see that. I can see that when you were talking, and I could see that when I was my first time being molested. You know, I could see how that changed my path into and again, people, you have choices. You know, I was introduced to this at the age of 5 years old.
Yes.
You know, and I remember I read this book. It was a Christian book on how to heal from trauma, right? Because I didn't want to go to no psychologist, and that was my thought process, because then, you know, people gonna really think I'm crazy, and that's a myth that we'll debunk here today. And I remember talking about that, and with a good friend of mine, and I was like, okay, you know, I'm reading this book, and it had techniques on how to revert back to that and pray to God to give you, you know, the where it all started, the root to it.
Right.
Because I couldn't remember that, because as a child, with children who have traumatic experiences, they either block it out of their mind or you know, that's one form of defense. I didn't know what I was doing at that time, but now that I'm older and I have more revelation, I can see that that's what occurred.
Right.
So I prayed about it, and I, you know, dreamed about it. After like about a month or so, I've been, you know, seeking God about it. I had a dream about it, and I literally went back to the moment it happened.
Yes.
To the moment it happened,
Yes.
and I literally was in my, you know, 5-year-old little body, and going through the motions and seeing, you know, my abuser, you know, and I was like, ooh, you know, it was just, and then woke up, and I literally jerked up, and I was like, okay, you know, now I know where the root is. And then it's like, once I woke up, I literally saw the trail of every choice that I made because of that.
Right.
You know,
it's
every
like
choice.
you realize your soul's immune system was activated, and you didn't even realize it. You don't even realize sometimes why you're making the choices you do, why you feel the way that you do.
Yes.
You know, why you love the way you do, or why you don't love.
Come on now, Donloyn.
You know?
You're really hitting on something. And so so I say all that to say that, you know, today is not about what we desire here is for us to share our experiences, and for, hey, how you doing? Thank you for joining us. And for us to share our experiences of traumatic experiences that we've had, and for that to trigger you a seed, or to water what God is trying to process for you to go into your healing process, or to be healed. So that's the main thing. And at the same time, it's not for you to because God wants you to be healed so that you can go on and fulfill your purpose and destiny, right? That's the ultimate goal, right?
Absolutely.
And also is for you to find the root of the situation, because knowledge without, you know, like if we, what God says in the word, that we perish due to lack of knowledge, you know?
Yes.
And so, okay, now we have the knowledge. Okay, I had a traumatic experiences. I'm identifying some things, but now we're going to gain that meat, that understanding of why is it, like what you just said, of why is it that I do what I do, or the choices that I've made in my past are based off this. And once you do that, now you can come with a solution, because you know the root of the situation.
You can apply some wisdom.
Yeah, apply some wisdom.
Yes.
And spiritually speaking, you know what to bind up. You know, bind up that strong man, and loose God's word in a strategic way, and by looking in the Bible and saying, okay, this is what God says about this situation. This is what God says about that situation that I face. Now let me put the word on it. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, whatever you do in the natural, and this is what you're doing in the natural, this is what they've done in the natural, you're going to do it in the spiritual. So with that being said, please share your stories, ladies, because this is good. This is good right here. So go ahead, Le'Erica. Yes, ma'am.
So my story, for those that don't know, I am the daughter of, my parents were my pastors until I was, joined the military. So I came from a great home, mom, dad, sister, parents that loved me, dad that was the man, still is the man, understood love, understood self-love, and joined the military. First time away from home, oldest child, you know, spreading my wings. I am an adult and I'm going to adult.
Going down the list of things that I couldn't do, I'm going to do. Yeah.
So,
I know that all too well.
So, joined the military, went to my first base, loving life, great, you know, the world was my oyster at that time. And I was sexually assaulted. My first base, I think I had been there a month, maybe. So brand new to the military, brand new out of home. And I was assaulted by two individuals that I knew these people, worked with these people, had to see them every day.
Wow. Even after
we worked together, I worked with them until I think a few months later, one person PCS'd and the other person, I was there for an entire other year. They were there with me. Yeah, looked in their face. They spoke to me every day. I, you know, had to put on a front and go on with life as if nothing happened. In that, I was intimidated in a lot of different ways because the culture at that time in the military was the good old boy system. So for me, it was difficult to tell anyone because I knew what I was going to ultimately be the one with the stigma. I was going to be the girl that just ruined someone's career. I was going to be the,
but it's not the truth.
Yeah, I was going to be the girl that even if I PCS'd, all the other bases, the Air Force is only this big, and everyone's going to know, oh, she's the girl that did whatever, that said whatever.
I'm always learning how to blow his nose, so that's what you hear in the background.
And so I chose at that time not to tell. I told my doctor, the psychiatrist, and the one person that did a report, but I did a what's it called? Restricted reporting.
Restricted reporting.
I chose not to go the route of pressing charges.
So let's pause here real quick for my Air Force ladies and veterans that are listening. You guys know that there was no such thing as restricted or unrestricted reporting. And for those of you who are actively in the military right now, please know that even if you choose not to, you can still get help. You don't have to, you don't have to go through this by yourself. Le'Erica is a testament of how, she chose that way. Whatever she chose to do, she still sought help, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so how did that help you in the process, in the healing process?
I had an outlet to tell someone, so I did not have to keep it to myself. And the person who went with me was a chaplain. So when it happened, I knew nothing else. Being the daughter of, in church her whole life, the person I knew I could call was a chaplain.
Okay.
So that is who I called. That's who walked me through my process. That's who prayed when I couldn't pray. My parents, no one knew. But at least had an outlet. I did have someone that I can say the words to. And looking back, the most powerful words I think I could have said was when I said, oh my gosh, I was raped. Like for the words to come out of my mouth, it's like then like the dam broke and, I was able to just kind of process it because I've said it. Like this is what happened. It wasn't this thing we can't talk about. Like this is what happened to me. I was able to identify as a victim at that point in my life.
Okay.
And for years later, though, I then hid under it because I wanted to be the big girl, if that makes sense. I wanted to deal with this on my own. I'm an adult. I'm grown. I didn't want anyone else to have an emotional reaction to what happened to me, so I kept it to myself. I didn't want mom and dad to react like this is my thing. Right. I'm gonna deal with it. I got it. That same, 20-year-old woman went on, had kids, had a series of making choices from an altered person. The person I was supposed to be, I didn't become. So I made choices for men based on that broken woman, not, the whole
from that
woman.
Place.
From that place, from that broken place, I chose broken men. If that makes sense.
No, that makes total sense, y'all. Total sense. Hold on. Antoinette Carter says, thank you for encouraging women to reach out for help. So many feel like they are forced to endure this alone. Yes, we're breaking chains today.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So definitely. See, look at that. Good.
Yes.
So awesome.
And women and men, I just want to say.
Yes.
I just want to say.
Little boys.
Because there are... There are leaps and bounds have been made where it comes to women and girls in terms of discussing this.
Yes.
But it is still so taboo and shameful for men to go through this. And right now we're having to share because our largest trauma happened to be from a sexual abuse or a sexual offense.
Yes.
But trauma can be anything that you have endured. So let us, that's so very important.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
It could be a severe accident. It could be
a loss of a loved one.
A loss of a loved one.
Right.
It could, even for a child speaking, or even a person undergoing a divorce, a messy divorce.
Absolutely.
It could be domestic violence, whatever it is.
Yes.
It could be a high stressful job. I remember as a security forces member in the Air Force, we've experienced some things. I remember. Just if you don't mind me sharing,
please.
Y'all. One time I was in a post. It was a high post, right? And I was overseeing a compound because at that time we was overseeing detainees, and so I was doing the midnight shift. And hey Chevy, how you doing? And so on that shift, I just started the shift. I just got on post, and it was like several feet high. It was like as high as this house. So the post was high up, and you had to oversee the compound, the section of the compound. So long story short, I'm going up, and it's like a regular meeting day, and all of a sudden, all I hear is a faraway whistle. And it keeps getting closer and closer and closer and closer and closer, and it's a missile. And all I did, I'll never forget that day. Until God sent me on to heaven. I'm telling you. And I just heard it getting louder and louder and louder, and all I remember was just saying, "Please forgive me, God, for everything that I've done." That I remember that, and it literally, and all I could hear it literally passed it. I know that was nothing but the grace of God, but it literally passed the thing. Because as soon as the whistle was going, I looked down, and one of the detainees is looking at me, and he's like, pointing at me, he's like, "You're gonna die today." And I was like, that's when I looked down, and I said, and to myself, I said, "Please forgive me, Lord, for everything that I've done." And I literally closed my eyes as it got it got closer, but it just flew by me. It flew by me, and I'll never forget that. But there's others who have experienced the ultimate, with bombings, with being detonated around them, those who have lost limbs.
Absolutely.
There's other examples of traumatic experiences.
Yes.
And but let's go back to sharing our stories and being a blessing to others. So what is your story?
Well, my story, like yours, started very early on. I was sexually abused. I was molested for many months, and then ultimately raped at age 5. And that was the biggest trauma. There were things that led up to that. We moved around quite a bit. So there was already that sense of needing, wanting, and looking for home.
I get it.
It's
funny how I connect with both of y'all, but I do get it because my family moved a lot.
Right, we moved a lot. And so then that happened, and when it occurred, as it was, so I endured obviously there's the sexual abuse, but then there was mental and emotional abuse at his hands as well, because I was threatened. I better not tell. This was what's going to happen to me. I believed it because the house where it happened, his family, they were responsible for watching me after school. They were very mean to me. The woman in the house. This boy was, I think he was like 15 or 16 at the time. And so, of course, to a 5-year-old girl, you know,
he's huge,
he's big to me.
Yeah.
And, you know, he was allowed to take me in the back of the house, away from everyone else, away from the other little after-school kids. His mother, she was very mean to me. She was nice and loving when my parents were around, but when they were gone, she was just a completely different person. And so, hearing him tell me, if you tell, I'm going to tell my mom that you did whatever, it was like, oh my gosh, extra scary. It was like, really, this woman is going to get at me. So I didn't say a word, and even tried to defend it to the bitter end when my mother discovered through some outward physical signs one evening what was going on, and she was pressing in, questioning me, and I still wanted to hold on to making excuses and covering up until finally I broke free and I told, you know, the police what had happened. It was a very short time after that. It was very traumatic for my entire family. Very traumatic for my father. He put in for a transfer and we moved from California to here in South Carolina. We moved across country. When we got here into town, I started up with a child psychiatrist. I only spoke to her about it. My parents didn't talk to me about it. I saw her for a period of maybe about 3 months' time, and then that was it. And once I stopped seeing her, all conversation about it ended.
Like it never happened.
Like it never happened. And so I was left, you know, 5-year-old, brand new 6-year-old, dealing with this on my own. The nightmares. I was petrified of the dark. I could see things moving in the darkness. You couldn't tell me things weren't moving. I was petrified. I'd have nightmares, the same recurring nightmare, actually for years, until I finally told a friend in high school. And I carried it with me for a very long time, not wanting to tell anyone what had happened, because here I'm feeling like, well, they're not talking about it. I'm supposed to be quiet about it. This had to have been my fault. Then it was compounded with some issues of colorism, where people would tell me that, unfortunately, there's this thing, you know, when races mix. I was told that I was nothing but the product of rape, because I have white in my family and I'm mixed and all. So when I was told that, I was like, oh my gosh, how will they treat me when they find out I've actually been raped? So I held it even more. And I finally opened my mouth for the first time to a friend in high school. And I told her, and I was so scared because I thought she was going to treat me differently. And she didn't. And that was just my easing into it. So slowly, as the years went by, I would tell another friend and another friend, but we never had deep conversation about it. And like Le'Erica, I went on to become a mother and a wife and have kids, and thinking, oh, I'm okay. Going through my 20s, oh, all right, it's no big deal. I'm fine. Everything is good. This doesn't bother me anymore. Only when I hit my 30s, to find out I was stuck with that question of who am I? What is happening around me? Who are these people that I'm having to take care of? I just want to scream and run away and go be by myself. How am I supposed to take care of anyone and I don't know how to take care of myself?
Come on now.
And I didn't know who I was. And it started that journey of opening up even more. And realizing I was truly carrying that trauma and that unforgiveness and things that I had not dealt with it. I was still carrying it, and I had so many questions. But as you just begin to open up that door, boy, it starts. Yes,
and you're like, whoa, wait a minute,
yes.
I wasn't ready for all this.
Yes.
But that's the way you have to face it, and that's what I liked about what you guys said, and that was bringing me to my next question. What influenced your healing process? And you guys already mentioned it. You addressed it face on.
Yes.
You're like, okay, this happened. You had to speak it out. You had to confront it. Go face to face with it.
Right.
Aaliyah says conversations have to happen about this.
Yes.
Definitely. And so, and one thing I want to say also is, if somebody's sharing with you about a traumatic experience, and I learned this as being a sexual victim advocate. But hold on, let me see. Jasmine Hardy says, this is a great dialogue. There are so many people who need to see this. There are many people who need to be free to have this dialogue. Yes, great job, ladies. Hope you can continue to be a beacon for the community. Yes, of these. Yes, definitely. That's what we're trying to do. And my advice to you, if somebody ever shares with you or a traumatic experience, keep your poker face on, okay? They're not looking for a reaction. They just want to share.
Yes.
Don't, try your best to not get, you see how they were sharing, and I'm just like, I'm listening. I was doing my very best not to, because these are my sisters. So I'm hot right now. Don't think I'm not hot. Like, if I see those individuals, I don't know, my saved, sanctified self, I'm put it on the shelf and get the hoodie ghost, But that being said,
gonna get resurrected.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That being said, we'll put that to the side, but when somebody says something to you, just try your best to keep a straight face, or just be like, oh, okay. So how do you feel about that? That should be, that should be the next question. Yeah. And also, don't judge the person on how they're dealing with that, situation, because you guys, you dealt differently, right? You shared it, you were smiling, but that's how you deal with it, and you shared it, and you was, more, on a serious tone, but there was still light in your conversation. I've been where I've had to respond to a sexual assault situation, and the individual, because it could happen to men and women, side note, it's 1 to 3% of cases that are being, reported for males. Right. So, and I pray that comes about even more, because they have the stigma of homosexuality attached to it, and that doesn't, and by all means, I'm not judging anyone, but that's just, that's the association with it, and the shame that comes along with dealing with traumatic experience of this nature. And one person, that individual was cracking jokes. I mean, they had me in tears laughing, However, I literally a sexual response person is the one that's by your side, is your advocate when that literally happens to you. So, but I was prepared for that, And so the person was literally cracking jokes. I'm in tears cracking jokes right along with them, because hence you meet the person right where they're at. You meet the person right where they're at, you know? And that's what you need to do. You meet them right where they're at and listen. There's a reason why God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. I promise you. I got to learn that lesson to myself all the time, because I'm a talker. But however, God is teaching me that in order for me to be present for people, in order for healing to process in other people, and what I'm called to do to bring restoration from within, I need to use these more than use this. And so that's why, there's things that I listen to you and I say, oh, so this is how it made you feel. And even if you're wrong, the person's like, no, that's not how I feel. Listen to that. Because really healing is taking process as they voice that.
Yeah.
That's right.
Through their mouth.
That's right.
So again, let me see what Aaliyah is saying. Hi, Libby. Hi, cousin. How you doing? She says, we also have to talk about the demonic. Come on now, girl. That infiltrate when this happens. Those things have to be called out, and people need to be counseled to how to overcome. On now, girl. You are right on point.
Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, this was this conversation that we're having today was influenced by a prophetic word. And I will post that prophetic word later on. I wish I kept it, but it's a prophetic word about for my sisters and brothers who have experienced traumatic experiences, that this is the season for you to heal. That, you know, that demonic force that have used that trauma to put a cape over you, to hinder everything that you're doing, no longer would do that, because we're here standing in the gap for you, and we're going to remove that so that you can bring healing to your life, so you can see that you can be this person. I mean, obviously, if you don't want to do Facebook, that's okay. You know what I'm saying? But we chose this venue to be a voice and a reason for you, so you can go and seek help. So let's go to our next question. You know, what influenced your healing? We said it was voicing it, you know, seeing head on and calling those demonic forces. You know, for me, real quick, we're gonna call those out. We bind up the spirit of perversion. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the root over what we dealt with. You know, the spirit of fear, anxiety, low self-esteem. You know, all those things.
Aggression.
I became
wrath. Yes, a lot of people. Come on now. I became very. Now, I didn't start anything, but you were not going to touch a soul that I cared about. I was so aggressive.
No, you still are, though.
I'm assertive now.
No, not like aggressive, but, you know, she's
assertive.
a protector
I've been
at heart.
delivered,
Yeah, no, you're not. Girl, she's a protector at heart.
I
you know
am.
what I'm saying? Because and that's another thing also, like, you know, I know for you guys also, it's like now we have a greater heart for the underdog.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Like,
Absolutely.
you know, don't let nothing happen in front of me, because I'm gonna be like, okay,
I'm gonna say
yes.
You know, it's like it doesn't when that mute button is off.
Right. And that's what I would do.
Yeah.
I was so aggressive. This
Me too.
would go first before I would think and process, okay, what's happening here? I would just react and yes.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Some
that's how I was
people
taught.
are
Like, before you get me, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. I'm not gonna be no longer I'm no longer going to be the victim.
Right. And some people go through this type of abuse and trauma, and it completely robs their voice.
Absolutely.
Or it and makes you so weak and fragile and frail and wounded that you don't even know how to. You just take it. You endure that punishment, and then it can take you to the other extreme of being very aggressive, like you know, even accusing, even what is that? Suspicious,
Yes.
Very.
Irrational beliefs, because you base everything off of those things that you did. So how did you go from that to, okay, you use that that energy in another format?
I did. I think those kind of questions go together. Your last question of how I started, what influenced my healing. God sat me down and had me be still, because I was put into a space of needing to be a stay-at-home mother. So I have 8 kids. For anybody that might not know me, hi. 8 is enough. Anyway, I have 8 kids, and so I had, you know, I was married, and we had our first 3. Then I was back in school. I was going to go on to PA school. It was like, you know,
I'm
achieving.
smiling because this sounds just like my story. I was like, I got this.
I'm doing this. I'm doing the other. I was back in school. I graduated top of my class. I had getting ready to, you know, have my application and stuff ready to go into PA school. Found out I was pregnant with our first set of twins. Something deep in my spirit said, and what's funny is even when I was pregnant with those the twins, when I first found out and did the home pregnancy test, I immediately knew there were 2. And I was like, I know that I'm having 2. And I told the doctor, I was like, we need to do an ultrasound so y'all can know that I'm having 2 babies. Because I already know. But I truly feel like God used that to begin my slow yourself down and sit down process, because you have things to deal with. So one of the twins was born with Hirschsprung's disease. He had his first surgery. It messes with your intestines, with your colon. He had a surgery at 5 weeks old, and then a surgery at 5 months old. Well, I had the wherewithal when I was pregnant to realize I'm about to be a mom of 5, and 2 of those will be twin babies. Going to PA school is not a good idea. So I withdrew my application. And it was a good thing, because that baby needed me at home with him. So now I was a stay-at-home mother. And I had to really deal with that. God dealt with me. He put me in a position where I felt even lower. I felt like, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm sitting around with kids all day. All I'm doing is cooking and cleaning.
We're gonna have a show about that.
The value, right? I devalued where he had me.
Me too.
He put me there to sit me still and make me look at the people who needed me, where I needed to be, and to turn around and look at myself. To truly look at myself.
In my first ministry.
Yes.
Yeah, like in order, that's where your promotion comes from, is your family, you know, not anything else.
And then he reminded me of the promise I made myself when I was a teenager. I'll never forget, I can see myself standing at my bedroom window looking out, saying, someday, one day, I don't care what it is, it could be an article, it could be a poem, it doesn't matter. One day, something that I write is going to be published.
Come on now.
He reminded me of that when I was a stay-at-home mom and I became a freelance writer.
What?
And I was nervous and scared. I doubted these abilities.
Yeah.
And then, right. Yes. Then he brought back the fact that my artistry in terms of being an artist was shut down at an early age. He brought that back to me. And he began to, as I was healing for my family, I was healing for myself, I was healing for others, the things that I write, the things that I draw, they promote healing. It was just this, it was all-encompassing healing going on.
Yes.
You know? And so, yeah.
No, this is good.
So, yes.
No, this is good because
He's
both
awesome
of
like
you,
that.
Yeah,
Look how he works that out.
Yeah. And it's like he used a source, an outsource to do that. And before we got on, I was telling them about my experience. I was like, God, why are you making me do stuff while I'm still going through the process? And lo and behold, that's what he did with both of you.
Yes.
You know, that's what he's still doing with all of us, you know? And these beautiful ladies next to me, they both have a passion for writing. That's why I looked at Le'Erica. I was like, you know, isn't this funny? You know, that we're right here. Because trust me, I wrote a book, yes, but these two, they don't even break a sweat writing. They be like, there's 8 pages written. You know, me, I'm like, whoa, what's this first sentence? What am I going to say in this first sentence? You know, so. Before we move on to that, because the gift of writing, that's one of the sources, and creativeness, because both of you are creatives.
Yes.
That's a gift that God has given you.
Can I just say, now that you said that, please, if you've been hurt or wounded or suffering trauma, we were made in God's image.
Yes.
The Creator created us to create.
Yes.
If we're made in His image, then we too are creators.
Yes.
Go to Genesis and look at how it says the darkness was over the earth.
Yeah.
When that darkness was over everything, that darkness, that trauma, what did God do? He created.
He created.
Create something.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes,
and you don't
yes,
have
yes,
to
yes.
be a writer or an artist. Or you can create in so many ways.
Yes.
It could be dance. It could be music.
I know I have a girlfriend who dances. That's her,
Yes.
you know, and that's
it
how
doesn't have
she
to be for
expresses.
somebody to see. It's what's
Right.
going, you know.
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah, you don't have to write about it. Some
Yes.
think, this happened. I want to write about it. Everybody else wrote a book, so I got to write. No.
Yeah, it doesn't
simply
even
the writing,
right.
simply the
Journaling.
drawing,
Yeah,
simply letting it out,
Absolutely.
expressing
Yes.
yourself.
It's
Yeah.
somewhere
You
or
just
another.
created something. It could be a garden.
Yeah.
It could be a rose garden.
Yeah.
You know, or whatever kind
Definitely.
of garden. You know.
I find my peace creating soaps. I know that.
Yes,
I
that's
never
wonderful.
thought. You know, when he gave it to me, the idea, I was like, I don't know about this. You know.
Yeah.
And then, but like literally, when I'm actually doing something, I put on the word and I could hear the word, and then it's like, it's so soothing. I feel like a release is happening, and at the same time, I'm getting poured into.
Yes.
And look at what you're creating.
yeah.
Something to cleanse.
Yeah. Thank
And
you,
that's
God.
what
Yeah,
trauma
thank you,
is.
God.
Trauma
Yeah.
is the crud that life has left on
Yeah.
you, and it needs to be washed off.
Yes. Yes.
Leave some residue.
And yeah, you know. So you guys said you talked about it, right? That's how it healed
Yes.
your influence. you found a avenue to let it out, whether it was speaking to individuals, right? Or as creatives, because
Yes.
we're made from the Creator.
Yes.
You guys chose venues to release that, whether it was privately or whether it was publicly, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, what are some other things? Because I obviously from what I hear you saying, you sharing the scripture, you sharing your backgrounds where you was brought up, God made a difference into that,
Absolutely.
For our viewers who don't have who don't, can't make that connection, because they're either hurt and questioning why God would have that happen,
Right.
I mean, because I was in that space as well. Or maybe they don't know God in this sense of way. You know what I'm saying? What would you say to them to relate how God made, was a integral, and I'm just, not to put in your words, whatever you say, was integral to your healing. It was critical for your healing.
Go ahead. I'm gonna actually find what I actually wrote it in here.
Oh, okay.
Since you asked that question.
Okay, awesome.
First, I would recommend that if someone doesn't know or understand the word or why these things happen according to, biblical principles, I definitely first and foremost would encourage them to line themselves up with a person who is a couple of people, strong believers, kingdom-minded, who aren't going to judge you, who will take their time maybe listening to you, ministering to you, giving you a little something, to marinate on. So pray first and ask God to send you someone who will help guide and direct you. 3 things that I think that are practical, and people hear me talk about it all the time, is because God revealed to me that these 3 things are so significant in everything that we do, is voice, courage, and power.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even, the book that I wrote for girls with moving from a self-doubt to personal power is broken into those 3 stages. And it's the butterfly.
Yeah.
It is, I'm the butterfly girl. I'm sorry. Everything with me comes back to butterflies, y'all. But it is a transformation. It is a metamorphosis. So when you are going through something and you're wounded and you're fragile, it's like this is your caterpillar stage.
Yes.
And what is a caterpillar's only mission is just to feast. It's just to eat.
I love that.
So you have to feast on the word. Feast on things that inspire you. Feast on things that are good and nourishing to your soul and your heart and your mind. Just gobble those things up. And when you're going through that, and that's the voice stage. And I bet y'all didn't know that caterpillars squeak. They make a little tiny squeak. But when you're going through that, when you're going through voice, you have to ask God, and that's your identity. God, who are you? Who are you, period? Who are you to me? Who are you in this situation? Who am I? And who am I in this situation? And then as you begin to identify who you are, you move on to courage. Courage represents Jesus Christ, who displayed the epitome of courage.
He died on the cross for all of us.
For all of us. And so then when you and that is your chrysalis stage.
Yeah.
So courage is where I'm so sorry, y'all. There has to be something scary in order for there to be courage. There has to be something that engages your fear or shakes you in order to activate that courage. And courage is standing tall and brave in the face of that thing anyway. So whatever it is you're moving through in life, you've got to dig down deep and pull up that courage. It's a part of our hero's journey. The hero's got to muster up that courage. It's got to slay some demons and slay some giants, kill some dragons in that chrysalis. And when you've done that, you know, when you slay that dragon that's blocking that cave, that's got that secret elixir on the other side, you know, then you can walk in and you can grab it, and boom, that's your power, the Holy Spirit, God working in you. You got to be able to activate that power. I promise you, voice, courage, and power, you will see it. Those three things, God, Son, Holy Spirit. God gave that to me, y'all. God is voice, Jesus is courage, and the Holy Spirit is power. You will find those three things in everything you do. If you can apply that to whatever situation you're facing and you're up against, you'll make it through.
Yeah, Nicole Cunningham, she just said, this is good.
Hey, Nicole.
Yeah, I'm praying that this really is a blessing to y'all. Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, Moni, I love you. Thanks for the love. And so I love that because we having the conversation. She literally went through the stages that we just went through.
Yeah.
You know, like what we talked about here. We went through all those stages. And now you guys, let's hear what you wrote. And so that's the last stage.
Yes, that's the last stage. Butterfly, you got wings.
Yeah. And for me, it was, I had to, everybody, some people say, I don't believe it. Personally, don't question God. You don't question God. I always say he's my daddy, and I think I'm allowed to ask him questions and ask him. You know, I think I can call my natural daddy and ask him questions. So I think I'm allowed to ask my daddy questions. So during my process, I really was at my lowest. Like, when I say lowest, after everything happened, Le'Erica didn't want to be here no more. And I'm like, I need a reason, Lord. Like, I need a reason to be here, to exist. I need to, like, everything that's happened. So I listed. I wrote my list out to God. This happened, this happened, this happened. But you were there. You know, this happened, this happened. But you were there. Why? Like, how could you, my daddy, let X, Y, and Z happen and be there and let it happen? Like, I was at that point. Like, Lord, I need some answers. Like, you have to come through right now for me right now. I need you. Because I know that all too well. Know, one, that you're there and that there's a reason. Like, there has to be a reason. And so, I wrote this years ago, but I put it in the book. And it says, when I sat at my lowest point, not wanting to be in this world, I felt I needed to know why all this happened to me. Why was I the one who suffered so many losses, so much turmoil, so much pain? In his still small voice, I heard God say, Le'Erica, look at all the lives you can touch. Look at the experience, the example, the knowledge, and the wisdom you have been giving, even in your darkness. It was preparation, where you saw a single mother, assault victim, domestic and mental abuse victim. You saw mother of fatherless sons, the mother of a troubled child. You saw broken, destitute, and forgotten. But I saw strength in overcomer, tenacity, courage in the daughter of a king. Where you saw survival, I called you to conquer. That was his answer to me. That's why it happened. Like, so even in there, this was shaping this day. You know, it was shaping this book. So that is what, for me, that was his answer for me.
And see how you said in the darkness.
Yeah.
So what is the chrysalis but the darkness?
Yeah, but the darkness.
In the chrysalis, you're in the darkness. You're literally, the caterpillar is literally melted down into a slush and put back together. That's it, right there.
Yeah,
the
and
darkness.
I can say that, and I can honestly say that that's been part of my journey.
Yes,
that you can.
Oh
you can
gosh,
say
yes
that.
indeed.
Absolutely.
Yes indeed.
I pray that this has blessed you. But before we leave, I really want them to share their books and how you can hear more of their story. How you can know the stages, you know, and go through the stages. How you can hear the voice and say, you know what? Me too. You know, we see that hashtag now, you know, yeah, it's true. It's me too.
That's right.
It's time to take the mute button off.
Absolutely.
You know, whatever it is, if it's a sexual abuse, if it's mental, physical, if even if it's an experience that, remember, the traumatic experiences don't have like a cookie cutter what you can describe a traumatic experience. However, this is a healing process, and today we decided to say me too. We decided to say, you know what, if this is your moment, if you want healing, Well, you can start by, by praying, by seeking God and asking him, okay, I'm accepting it. So how do I go through the process?
Right.
And I strongly believe that these books that they've written, these voices that you've heard today, have written books to, spread all over across the globe, because that's what I believe, across the globe, so that when you read these stories, when you go through this process that these books are taking you, you can say, I'm encouraged, And in the word encourage, guess what's in it?
Courage.
Courage. It's courage for you to step out and get the healing that you need to get. So, Delon, tell us how we can reach you.
Oh, yes. You can visit me at Donloyn.com. That's DONLOYN.com. Or on Facebook at, Facebook.com/Donloyn. Instagram, it is also Donloyn. And
Please show them.
there you go. Here's my book. It's called The Belief in Wings. And it is helping young girls evolve from a place of self-doubt to one of personal power. But I have to say, there are tons of women 40s and 50s that say that this book helped them too, because let's face it, when we're traumatized, it is still that little child, that little girl inside that we're addressing. But this book can be purchased on Amazon.com, BooksAMillion.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and you can go to the website, which is TheBeliefInWings.com.
Yes. Definitely. Thank you so much, sis.
Yes.
And I appreciate you coming and sharing your story with us, and not just sharing your story, but your voice. That's how I see it. I see books as voice.
Yes.
They're voices. And it's also a form of sowing life back into an individual, and that's what my ultimate goal is to sow life, whether it is through social media, whether it is through books, or whether it is through teaching people how to live a healthier life. This is some form or another. That's what we have to do. And in a sense also, I don't know, I got a lot to say today. And also, it's a way for us to know and understand the importance of guarding our gates, which is our eye gates, our ear gates, and even our minds. And that's another thing, that's another tip after the show of when you're trying to face a traumatic experience or any challenges in your life, you have to protect those, because that's the number one area where the enemy tries to get to you.
Absolutely.
And that's what at the end of the day, you're renewing your mind. You're going from victim to victor. And that's one of the things. So please share your book and how they can reach you, sis.
Okay. My book is The Making of a Woman. I almost forgot the name of it.
Girl, it's okay. How many times I've come up here and they've seen me pause and be like, what's wrong? She don't know her own book, so don't worry about it. I set the stage for you. You're all right.
It's The Making of a Woman, Miss Le'Erica. It can be purchased on my website, MissLe'Erica.com. On Instagram, I am Miss Le'Erica. Facebook, my blog is Miss Le'Erica, and my personal page is Le'Erica Richards. It is my story. It is the making of Le'Erica. Everything that happened jumbled up together, and this is the end result. It's my story of going from victim to survivor to overcome. And I'm going to put this plug, because none of us want to just survive in life. We kind of said it in my book. I talk about surviving is merely to exist.
That's right.
You can get in an accident, have something traumatic physically happen, and be on a ventilator, and you're surviving technically.
Yes.
And that's what I was doing. In my book, I was surviving, but I had not learned to conquer. So that is what my book is about. It's my story. I will tell you, it is brutally honest, I've been told.
But it's good though.
It's not, it's not decorated all pretty. For anyone, it is the truth. So yes, buy it if you know someone who's been a victim of
chasing.
assault. Right there you go, straight,
Yeah.
no chasing. That's right. I pray that people find strength and encouragement in the book.
Definitely. And before we end, I just wanted to say thank you so much, ladies, again. I love you to life for sharing. And if you are undergoing not yet, we're not going to say not yet. Don't seek help. Just ask, don't go through this by yourself, whether it is, there's nothing wrong with counseling,
Nothing.
There's
Absolutely.
nothing wrong with therapy. There's nothing wrong with praying and asking, you know.
And there's nothing wrong with deliverance.
Yes.
Amen.
We
Come
all
on now,
need
everybody.
deliverance. We all need to be
All of
delivered from something. So just because you hear somebody getting deliverance doesn't mean they're all, you know, spinning around on their head, foaming at the mouth,
Like it
crawling
might
on
happen,
the ceiling,
but it
whatever.
don't happen all the time now. You know
It
what
doesn't
I'm
mean,
saying?
yeah, it doesn't mean you're necessarily like demon possessed and
Yes,
whatever.
it's not that way.
But you got to be delivered from that. And
Yeah,
yes.
And I strongly believe that's what has occurred today.
Yes,
That literally has occurred today. And I thank God for you guys watching us. Please join us here every Thursday at Temple Talk Thursdays at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. If you would like to be part of the R&R Restoration community of girlfriends, please visit us at www.restorationfromwithin.com and join our community. You'll automatically receive a renew and restore. You gonna tell him? Okay, yep, that's what he's saying. You'll automatically receive a renew and restore
Manifesto.
Manifesto, thank you. See, he messing me up. Manifesto to start your restoration from within today. I love y'all to life. Please
But
join
you've got
us.
a book. She's got a book coming out.
Thank you.
See how she's trying to do us?
right.
She is new to the author scene, and she's got a book coming out. Go ahead.
Restoring your temple, 7 steps to a healthier you.
Amen.
Amen.
And it's coming out.
April 7th is
Okay.
the launch.
And they can get tickets if you're local to the area.
Yes, ma'am.
Charleston,
Yes.
South Carolina. If you're local, or if you're not local,
Yeah.
travel in and you can get tickets. But go visit www.restorationfromwithin.com.
Thank you.
Yes.
I love y'all. I love y'all. Y'all have a great day, and
Bye,
thank
bye.
you. Share this. You know, if you believe that this is gonna bless somebody, set them free, by all means, share it. You don't have to tag them necessarily, you know, because I know this is a pretty heavy topic. But hey, hit them up on Messenger or say, hey, listen, I think this would really be good for you right now, because it's really about, you know, we're quick to share funny jokes, we're quick to share drama. Now let's be quick to share some light and life, you know, on social media.
Yes.
Let this be one of the things that go viral, and women across the nation, men and women across the nation, and children say, you know what? Thank you for speaking up. That gave me courage to step out and do what I have to do to, you know, deliver, heal, restore, renew, become a conqueror, you know. So without further ado, I love y'all to life. See y'all next Thursday. And again, check out my chicas, Donloyn and Le'Erica Richards, and check out their books, definitely. This is an investment that will definitely change your life. I love y'all to life.
Bye.
Bye.